Morning. I'm so excited to see you guys. I'm so glad that you're here. And we're going to start this devotion on day 8. So think about it. In every group of friends, there is always one who talks the most. If you tell a story about driving in a car really fast, they have driven a car faster. If you jumped off a 20-foot cliff, they have jumped off one higher. Their stories are always bigger and better than everyone else's. Most of the time, their stories are so exaggerated, everyone just writes them off as being fake. Several years ago, there was a woman who made the claim she was in one of the Twin Towers when the terrorist attack on September 11th. Her story riveted reporters as she told details on her amazing escape. Her story was so amazing, people rallied around her to listen. Then, several years later, it was revealed that the story was a lie. We hear these stories and think, how could someone use others in order to promote themselves? So focus. Read Matthew 6, verse 5 through 13. Underline every place you see instruction on how to pray. Write what you think God was trying to communicate. So for me, I thought, pray to your Father in heaven. Jesus is giving instructions to the crowd to correct some false assumptions of what a disciple of his should look like. This culture they were a part of was highly religious culture. The people who had risen to power and authority in the community were men of religion. In the effort to draw attention to themselves and receive recognition from others, many of the religious leaders had taken on some pretty bad habits. You could say these men were fans of God, but didn't want to pursue a relationship with him. They would stand on corners and pray these long, elaborate prayers with big words that most people never use in a normal conversation. These prayers were not said as a way to communicate with God, but as a way of personal promotion. These prayers were said for the benefit of the onlookers and to put themselves on a higher spiritual level. So consider, imagine you go out on a date with your significant other. As you sit down at the table, you begin to tell them how great they are. You compliment their outfit, tell them how nice their hair looks, etc. Now let's pretend you are announcing this loudly for the whole restaurant to hear. And when it gets time to order, you shout, "Order anything you want, it's on me." As you look around for other patrons to be impressed by your actions. Of course, you would say this is awkward, yet this is the type of thing being done here. God desires is to have an intimate relationship with his people. Jesus sets example and gives us insight into what an authentic relationship with God looks like. This point of text is not to say it is wrong to pray in public or to even have long prayers, but when the heart behind our prayers is so others will think we are good Christians, then that falls short of what God desires. So apply. When you pause to pray, be sure to check your motives. When you bow your head at lunch, and are you really praying, or do you just want those around you to not look down upon you because you didn't pray before you took a bite? If you pray out loud in front of others, avoid the temptation to impress others with big words and long prayers. Remember, you are talking to your Father in heaven who already knows what you are going to ask. He just longs to hear from you, regardless of how impressive you sound. Try to pray modeling the Lord's Prayer. Start off by telling God how awesome He is, then let Him know you will submit to His desires. Ask Him for the needs you have today. In the evening, reflect. How did your prayer times with God change today? Do you ever find yourself using God to promote yourself, and in what ways? What part of the passage from earlier today made the biggest impact on you? How would believing that God already knows what you are going to ask makes you feel about prayer? So think, focus, consider, apply, and reflect. And I'll see you till next time.